Hello, so today we're talking about our VIPS dedicated service. This is our SD-WAN service for customers that have existing Sophos firewalls. And we'll be going over how to set up a new service and evaluate the service during this video. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the ZeroOutage website and then select VIP dedicated. This is going to take us to our VIPS page here, which gives an overview of how you can set up your Sophos firewall with SD-WAN service. VIP stands for Virtual IP Address Service. And this is basically what we're providing with this solution. We are ensuring that customers and partners of ours that have already deployed Sophos firewalls are able to utilize true SD-WAN functionality where they can fail over from one internet connection to the other using a simple virtual IP address. And this gives them seamless redundancy. Basically, it means that the virtual IP address is the same address that's used no matter which internet service provider traffic goes out through. And this means that you have instant failover for voice over IP, cloud-based applications. You don't have to reboot phones or re-log in if you have a case where internet service provider fails and you have to fail over to the backup provider. Or if you're load balancing traffic between the providers, it allows you to, again, use that same virtual IP no matter what. So this can be deployed on any Sophos XG or XGS firewall version firmware 18 and over. And it gives you, again, the virtual IP address, quality of service, DDoS protection, and true seamless redundancy. So on this page, we have a couple options. We can start an evaluation, or if you're an existing partner, you can just order services by clicking the Order Service button. When you're an existing partner, you will have a partner ID that's provided to you, and that's used here in order to shorten the setup process. But in this case, we're going to assume that we are just setting up an evaluation, and so we'll click on the Start Evaluation button here. So to get started, first thing that we needed to have is our Sophos device ID. This is the serial number of the Sophos device. So you want to go into your Sophos XG or XGS firewall, and you want to obtain that device ID. And so we'll show you an example of what that looks like. We're going to go into our device here for demo purposes, and you see that the serial number is located right here on the dashboard. You can also find the serial number under the administration page. It'll pull up basically the licensing page, and you can find the serial number located here as well. So once you get that information, you want to copy that information and you want to put it into the Sophos license. And then we want to get the MAC address information as well. So the way that you can do that is you can find that on the bottom of the Sophos firewall. There should be a label that includes the MAC address. You can also find it in the device itself via the GUI. So by going to the network section and then looking for port 1, make sure you check under the miscellaneous hardware port 1 because it might have different names under interfaces, but you're looking for the port 1 MAC address. So you want to click on the port 1 settings and then go to advanced settings and you'll find the MAC address located here. You can just copy this and paste it into the MAC address information. All right, so now that we have this information, you want to put in the demo code. So the demo code is going to be 1000. You may be given a different demo code by your sales representative, or if you contact ZeroOutages to get information on the service, they may give you a different demo code, but the default one you can use is 1000. Company name, we're going to put Test Inc. Reference site, we're going to go Office A. Just put in put in the street address for this particular deployment. We can put in a contact name. Then you want to put in a contact email. And we're going to use we want a phone number. If you've been working with a sales agent, you want to put in the sales agent name here. We're not in this case, so we're just going to leave it as is. And then we're going to set up the state that we're coming from. Now, this is important because this will determine which system, which core hub that you're going to be connecting to. So you want to select the state that's closest, or the state that you're in, so that it can select the appropriate cloud hub for you. We're just going to modify this a little bit just to show that it's a demo. Then down here, we're going to go to select our product. So there's a couple different products that we can select here. We have the ZeroIP Basic. This is if you have an existing ZeroConnect hub already set up. A lot of our partners will have a hub set up, and then they connect the Zero Basic service, which is a little bit less expensive than the single site virtual IP service. If you are looking to deploy multiple sites and have them be able to talk to each other using the SD-WAN service, you can select the VoIP Connect service for $199. This basically establishes a cloud hub for you or for that customer, and then they can connect as many of the VIP Basic products as they want. So if they have 10 sites, you can do the first site is a VIP Connect, and then the other 8, 9 sites as the VIP Basic. If you have a single site, we recommend the VIP Dedicated. So if you have a specific customer, or you have only a single site that you're deploying, the VIP Dedicated, this is the default option. If you have more than 25 sites that you want to connect to each other with with a VIP Basic for each one, then you would probably select the VIP Connect, which is the larger Cloud Hub version. So it allows you to scale up the number of total locations that are connected to each other. But in this case, we're just going to go with VIP Dedicated. This is the default. So for most people who are doing a demo, this is the one that you want to select, the VIP Dedicated service. By default, the service has a monthly contract period. So it's very easy to test it out, or if you have customers who want to set it up the service, and then 3 months, 6 months, 10 months, 24 months down the road, whenever they want to terminate, they can. It's a renewed monthly. There is a $100 setup fee if you move forward after the demonstration period is ended. Then you want to put in the name of the person who's actually filling out this form. And you want to acknowledge that there's a 60-day evaluation with the service, and then after 60 days, the service becomes billable. But you can cancel at any time for no cost within that first 60-day period. But if you decide to keep the service after that, then it just becomes billable on a month-to-month contract, which you can cancel at any time. So now that we have all of this information filled out, we're going to go down here. We're going to click Start the Order Process. Now this is going to generate a quote, basically, that you can sign immediately, or you can send this to whoever is needed to sign it. And so you can basically copy and paste this link right here into an email and send it to whoever needs to sign. Or if you can sign, then you just click on the sign, click here, sign button, and it'll start the process. So this requires that you sign, put electronic signature on the service. So after you have signed the service below, so you would go ahead and sign that. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to go into our electronic form. We're going to enter our information. We have already been provided an order number. Primary contact is going to be, in this case, our John Smith. We have our primary contact number. We want to put in our email address. And the start date. And again, we're going to do month to month. You can do 12-month service term, but it is a month-to-month service. But that's just the default on this application. But any VIPS service is a month-to-month service. Our technical contact will also be John Smith in this case. Same phone. And we're going to use jsmith@testinc.com. And then we're going to go down to the bottom here, and we're going to click the sign. We're going to type in our signature. And that's it. And then we're going to click the sign here. It's going to process this, and then we're all set. So the initial service contract has been set up. Now we're going to click this blue button to complete the process. All right, now we're going to go and look at the installation process. And you can see that it has assigned the initial license is going to match what we've set up. We also want to have login here to change the API. So that's what we want to do next, is we want to go ahead into the device and set up the API. So what we would do is we would go back into our device, and we want to go to the backup and firmware section. And then we're going to go to API, and we're going to set our API. We want to turn on the API and set the following IP address here. And then what we want to do is we want to go to our ACL rules and set up a specific rule to allow traffic in via the VIP portal management, so that we can have we can push policies to the system to enable it to use the virtual IP service. So we're going to go into the local ACL, and that is done under administration. And we're going to go to device management here, and local ACL, and we're going to add SD-WAN management to the ACL. And we want to add these addresses: 108.175.3.0. Let me get that 3.0.24. /24. So we're going to add those, and let's just assume we've added the rest of them. And then the services, we're going to enable the following services. And then we're going to select to accept that access, and then save that. And that will create an ACL policy to allow the API to push those updates. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go to set up a profile name. So we got to go to profiles, and we're going to go to device status, and we're going to add a new profile. So in this case, the profile is going to be SD-WAN. And we're going to set rewrite for SD-WAN. All right, so now that profile has been set up. We're now going to go and create a new group specifically for the SD-WAN service called SD-WAN. That's under the authentication section. So then we're going to go to groups. We're going to add SD-WAN. And then we're going to set the group to normal and basically allowed. So now we're going to go to that section. I'm going to set these to all the time and create that group for the SD-WAN management. All right, and then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create an SD-WAN user. Oops, so let's go to users. We're going to add SD-WAN user, SD-WAN, set them as administrator, select the SD-WAN policy, and then we're going to enter the password. Now the password will be provided here as part of the demo setup. So you want to use whatever the password is that's provided here. So we're just going to make one up for right now. And we're going to put it in here. And then we want this to be systems at ZeroOutages. And we're going to select the SD-WAN group here. And then we're going to save that. So next, we're going to set up a syslog. So we'll go in and we'll set up a syslog policy. That's under system services, log settings. And you can see that we have one that's set called Zoom here, but we're going to create one basically called SD-WAN. And we're going to put in this IP address. And we're going to put in the port. This is 5140. And we're going to set this daemon debug and standard output. So daemon debug standard output. All right, and then we're going to save that. All right, and that's been set up. So then the next thing we're going to do is we want to check to make sure the log entry is in there. And then we want to make sure what log settings are going to be for that syslog. We want to make sure we have system events and usage information being sent. So let's look at for this service, for under the SD-WAN service that we created. We want usage, and we want system events. And then we're going to apply that. All right, and then finally, we're going to assign a local area network that's been assigned to us to the LAN interface. So in this case, the assigned IP LAN network IP is 10.151.5.1. Now, this is assigned as part of the evaluation service. You will be able to use whatever IP addressing is currently on the LAN whenever you deploy a standard dedicated VIP dedicated service. So you can basically just determine what LAN network you want to use. But for the evaluation, we assign one for you. And in this case, that address is the 10.151 5.1. So you would just go to your whatever the LAN interface is. If it's port 1 of your system, you would go and assign that. You'd be able to set up the rules and policies that you want to test coming from that 10, in this case 10.151 5.1, but whatever network's been assigned to you, you can test with putting any devices on that network, and they would be going through the virtual IP. All right, and then you can also set this up as a VLAN as well. So if you want to set up a VLAN, you can do that, and it would set up work the same way. You set up the VLAN on the 10.155, and then any devices you put on that VLAN would then start to work through the virtual IP. All right, so now that you've done all that, the next step is to click to activate the service. Now, when activating the service, that basically means that you've completed setup on your Sophos system, and you want the ZeroOutage API to push the rest of the changes out to the system. That sets up the tunnels and gets all of the routing set up. You don't want to do that until you've completed this process on the Sophos firewall. But once you've done that, then you can click to activate. Then within the next 24 hours, the API will push out those updates, and your service will become activated. Your project manager will also be reaching out to you to let you know that the service is activated and that you can begin testing. And then at that point, you want to schedule a time with our support department to walk you through the process and how to test and answer any questions you have. Your project manager can set that up for you as well. All right, so that's a basic overview of the setup of the VIPS service for Sophos XG and XGS firewalls. If you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to ZeroOutages sales and support teams. We're happy to help you with any questions you have.